Islam forms part of the political vocabulary. It forms part of the way the politics is unfolding. So, in a sense, what's the role? How important is it? And I have to, and I'm going to speak quite frankly, if you don't mind, and more directly than perhaps I would in normal audiences. And you're all familiar with this material. You're all, in many ways, have your own views of it. But there is an endless amount of discussion about how one Islamizes the politics of various societies. Some heard me say it in brief form. Let me say it a little bit longer now. That I am naturally suspicious of agendas which purport to Islamize the state. And I'll try to detail why. And I think that to a certain extent, programs of Islamization, which are a natural response to difficulties and the inadequacies of the present political system, wherever it is, can have built within it, however, problems which may well come back to haunt people. And so I'm a little bit suspicious of pursuing it, especially when we're talking about the nature of the state. So having said that, let me try to justify that argument. It seems to me that if one's looking at political theory, one's looking at sort of what are the ideas by which we organize our political life. I think they're similar, whether it's in a Muslim society or a non-Muslim society. There are certain, what I would call, there are certain building blocks of political philosophy. Those building blocks are authority. There must be some idea of what is legitimate authority. There must be some idea of the law. There must be some idea of community. And there must be some idea of leadership. Now, I think those could be found in whether it's Lockean political, liberal political thought in the West, or whether it's Muslim political thought, Islamic political thought. And the fact that it's common and in a way cuts across cultures, you mentioned the comparative idea of looking at this, I think that's important because it sort of speaks to the universal element of life. It speaks to the sense that individuals have to choose, that what's life about? It's trying to figure out how to live the moral life without coercion. How to live the moral life without coercion. Without being forced to do it. Without having a structure, a state, which in a sense takes that as the opportunity to become authoritarian. So now, if you want to take those four building blocks and you want to build it according to Islamic thought, you can do it very easily. You can refer to over 40 references in the Quran to obey the Prophet, God, the Prophet, and those in authority among you. You can develop the whole idea of authority. And you can see that essentially what is in Islamic norms, but is also in the best of Western political philosophy, is that authority is necessary. Ibn Taymiyyah said you must have authority unless to avoid fitna, or to avoid disorders, you must have authority. But that authority must, of course, also be just, must be limited. That authority must bear responsibilities towards the society. Now that cuts across all philosophical traditions. So go to the next building block. Talk about community. Well, we have community. Again, we all must belong to something. And in a sense, it's the family idea, but it's the family idea writ large. So to the extent that we belong to something bigger, exists, I think, in most political traditions, so too in Islam. And this, of course, allows for a form of solidarity. It's a kind of kinship. But in a way, the critical question to ask about any communal identification is, yes, I belong to a community, and how comforting that is. But does that community allow for difference? How much difference is allowable? And you know the venerable Islamic concept of ikhtilaf. And you know that it has legal implications. We can talk about it in a very precise, fiqhy sort of way. But here I'm using it in a broad philosophical sort of way. That difference within certain parameters, difference within certain borders is acceptable. But those must be in a way defined. So community, solidarity, plus difference. Again, within the Islamic tradition, within the Western traditions. So we add law to this as a building.